I certainly think the first step is reaching out to a technology company, letting them know the situation you're in, and seeing what they can recommend to you. Brian, I hope you can share some insights from your company. Katherine mentioned her former life in pharma. She was with a Big 10 pharma company, I believe, mentioned protocol templates and a few other things. Any insights on how Otsuka is doing that, incorporating these patient-facing technologies into their protocols?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, at Otsuka, we've been looking at some of these for years. I mean, obviously, Abilify MySite was the first FDA-approved digital medicine, and that's one of the most visible examples. But we've also got a current collaboration with Click to develop a prescription digital therapeutic for MDD. So I think the biggest piece is that the FDA is now really looking for these patient-facing technologies. They've been working on implementing patient-facing drug development and developing or modifying kind of fit-for-purpose clinical outcome assessments. So incorporating these patient-facing technologies and assessments is more important than ever. And to talk about maybe two options here from the Otsuka perspective. Prior to the COVID, telemedicine or virtual visits, we had conducted, fully virtual as well as hybrid studies, where we had, some in-clinic visits, some patient-facing assessments that were done remotely. And then last year we completed a pilot study that sought to compare, fully virtual visits versus ones where, a mobile healthcare provider went to the home to collect some of that. So that's one area we've been looking at for some time. I think the other one that's really critical right now is digital biomarkers, or and these are measured biological or behavioral events that are essentially collected or captured through device or sensor technology. So I think it's important to recognize that these digital assessments, these digital biomarkers, they're essentially inherent in conducting a virtual trial, because you're always going to have to do something to collect physiological data remotely, whether it's just simple vital signs, blood pressures, temperatures, or something much more involved depending on the study, or even just digitally and remotely captured PROs. So these are two areas that we're really looking to incorporate going forward in studies.
And just to stick with the benefits for another moment, those benefits that virtual trials will provide to sponsors, to sites, to patients. I think earlier on you mentioned recruitment and retention. I think that was a problem years ago. It's a problem today. I think it will continue to be a problem going forward. Anything that will help with that is welcomed. You just talked a little bit about data, but for those folks listening in who are researching the use of these technologies, what are some of the other benefits that you're seeing within your company that you would promote as, hey, these are reasons why you definitely need to be doing this?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I don't think we've fully realized all the potential benefits, but I think we're just starting to see if those potential benefits will come to fruition. But in terms of what we hope will be the benefits is having faster and more diverse recruitment that ultimately leads to an accelerated time to trial completion, and ultimately it gets medications in the hands of patients sooner. From the sponsor side, the thought is also that it's going to be a reduced startup time and cost, and that you have the potential to collect data outside of just those small moments in times where your patients are actually in the clinic. So if we can collect data, when a patient's at home, in between those visits, hopefully you're getting to more real-world data, real-world evidence. I think from the patient perspective, the thought is that it's reduced time, reduced burden, because they're not traveling to the site. So improved convenience, improved comfort, and then from a pediatric perspective, there could be a lot of potential benefit there in terms of as a parent, not having to travel to a site, but be able to have some of that study conduct be done remotely for a child could be huge. And then from the site perspective, the thought is that it can lead to a broader pool of participants, since you won't be limited by distance, right? So I think the biggest sites are perhaps this is maybe the most challenging for, but I think their opportunity there is to be an early implementer and kind of lead the way in terms of integrating this technology and adopting telemedicine. We, early on in the COVID pandemic, we reached out to some sites to just to survey them, get a sense of their telemedicine capabilities, and about 50% of them said they already had some telemedicine capabilities in place. So that was great to hear. But that's really the biggest challenge, I think, is going to be for these sites, because it really changes the model for them.